Hey guys, you're still with me. This is part three. I know I talk really fast. I'm not used to like telling stories and condensing it, so I get really excited. Because it's just so much stuff, and it's funny because when you try to actually tell the story, even though I have it written down, when you try to say it all at once, it seems so crazy. But when you know, you know. This has been my life. I have book after book after book of these type of experiences with people. I mean, up until 2 days ago. I mean, it's like every situation I'm in. Even when I left her house, the one day I spent in somebody else's house, I got a book on that too. But anyway, so when I first got to her house, I didn't have anything to give her, and my mom and I were no contact, and she hadn't passed at the time, and so I offered her the drum that my first drum I ever got was a small drum my mom gave to me, and so I gave it to her as an offering. And I remember one night I was laying on the couch, and she said to me, I think I'm going to give you your drum back since your mom's dead. And so I knew that was another projection. And one thing I recognized is that, I was only there. See, I started working at the clothing store right before Thanksgiving. So I got there, like, I want to say the second week in November, because it was after my birthday. So it was like the second or third week, maybe 13th or 15th of November I got to her house. So I was there about a week before I started working. And so, but every week, multiple times a week, she'd say, I'm just so glad that I'm in a position. It's different to say this once or twice. So if you know, you know. I'm just so glad I'm in a position to help you, because what would you have done? What would you and your cats would have done? You've been out in the cold, and I know somebody, I wouldn't want someone to do that to me, and I know what it's like for people to, and she was projecting, da da da. And I said to her, like, the first, and I think, and one other time I said to her, I said, well, I had places to go in Columbus. I said, I just didn't want to stay in Columbus. I knew I had to energetically be out of those situations because it was so intense, the groups that had been attacking me, and I was getting blackballed in every situation. I need to take a couple steps back and kind of regroup with spirit for a minute. And I said, so I actually have places to go. I said, but and I don't say, but I'm really grateful. I'm grateful. But after like the second or third time in the first week, it's like, you know what I'm saying? And then I would feel guilty for thinking this, because I'm like, bitch, I already said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you projecting? Like, you think I'm some little lamb that I haven't survived multiple death attempts on my life, poisonings, electrocutions, car being tampered with? This is nothing. So, and I remember she would always like talk about her problems, and every reason was spell work. Like, all of her people around her did spell work on her, and part of me was like, maybe it's karma, or maybe it's, you're not taking responsibility, because I had to be at a point in my life where I had to take responsibility. But I also gave way, because even though she was also, I shouldn't say in recovery, but she is ex-addict like, I was, but I went to an intense program for women. It was called Amethyst for 2 years and 7 months, actually, where they provided you housing and provided everything you needed so you could focus on your recovery. And it was intense recovery, like classes all day, counseling, you had to do EMDR therapy, trauma informed yoga. Like, it was an intense program. But I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and they paid for it. And so anyway, I noticed that she hadn't done any real recovery work. And so I noticed a lot of her thought patterns, a lot of her behaviors was because she'd been an addict her whole life. And so when we start using drugs, whatever age that is, that's the age where our maturity level ends. And so we can get caught up, but it takes a lot of intense work. So I also knew there was a lot of recovery, addiction type of things that weren't fixed there as well. And I noticed that she would bring up random things and ask what I thought to get my knowledge and get my opinion. Spirit told me that, like, she's just trying to get what you want or get the information you have. She just wants to know that something's not right here. Spirit kept telling me something's not right here. Do your wards. And actually, there's many creators here, which I'm grateful for, who also suggested, do your wards stronger. You do your wards stronger, you do your meditation stronger. And because we're only at 5 minutes, but I want to make sure I share the biggest thing. I noticed that whoever she was friends with, whatever job she had, she tried to embody that energy. And when people try to embody that, they don't know who they are. And so, one day I go to the park, right? It's places with tons of parks all over the place. I come out of this wooded area, one that I did many, many videos at. I did many videos there. And it was the day I did a video about my mom passing. And then the second video I did that day when the crows were swirling over me, it was that day that this happened. So I'm coming out the clearing, and there's like a hill. And there would be no reason for no one to be at the hill, but she was standing at that hill with some other lady. And so I was like, man, I should just walk on by. And then, my old programming is like, no, that's rude. If you walk on by, you know what I'm saying? That'll be drama. I have the knowing. And so I already know the outcome of things, unfortunately. That's why I don't have any friends. Because I know the outcome of shit already. So, and this isn't from my ego. This is just the walk. And so I was like, hey, fancy meeting you here. She turned around, and she was with this other spiritual person. This has been a running joke with the girls at the clothing store. And people can confirm these stories. And so she introduces me to this woman. And so this woman is like saying, like, oh, God, I can't keep up with her friends. That she has so many friends. She's always so busy. I'm thinking in my head, like, she never leaves the fucking house. You know what I'm saying? Like, she I'm like, you don't really know someone till you spend a couple days with them or live with them or even one night. You really don't know people. I don't care what they do online. I don't care what they do online. You don't fucking know people. Be very mindful of that. Be careful of what you believe and listen to the narrative of people. So anyway, and so she's this blonde hair woman is like, I just want to be around spiritual beings that there's no jealousy between women. There's no jealousy between women. I was like, yeah, I think that's a great idea. So she's asking what I do, and I, you know what I'm saying, I know no one can steal my ideas because no one's me. And I drop knowledge about how I can tap into people with developmental disabilities and find out what their needs are without all the other stuff. And I've been able to help people do that. But then, so all of a sudden the sun starts shining. She's like, oh, and she starts, the spiritual woman starts like doing this over this woman that I was living with like this. And she's just like sucking it all in, just embodying this. And Spirit was like, this bitch is fake. She's attached to these cult people. And I mean, it sounds paranoid, but let me tell you what. But here's the creepy thing, and I've told people this because it's stuck in my head to this day. When she introduced me, this woman shook my hand and went, nice to meet you. And she winked. She's like, I winked. And I wink a lot at people. But energy doesn't lie. Something was weird about that. And I'll never forget it. It's so much I wrote it down multiple times. Since we're almost out of time, I have to finish with what brought me to leave. On Christmas, I actually bought her a coat. She's always complained she never had a coat. When I gave her the coat, her first thing was like, oh, do you think I'm fat? The coat's too big. I'm like, well, where I got it at, where I work at. You can take it back to another place and get a different size, but you're welcome. Anyway, New Year's Eve, everything's fine. She's trying to get me to go out with them. And I'm like, nope, Spirit told me, like Spirit's been telling me, stay to yourself. You don't go in groups anymore. You need to stay to yourself. And we had a great conversation. Everything was good. New Year's Day. As soon as I open my eyes, I go to get coffee. And she said, you know what? I've been thinking. I'm like, God damn, already? Because she would do this. She would just, as soon as I'd wake up or as soon as I'd come in from work, it was like trying to throw some salt or try to get me to argue with her. And I don't do that. Because Spirit already shows me what people are trying to do when they poke the bear. And she would say keywords that used to trigger me. Like, that's how I knew she was attached to other people. Because there's no way she would know certain things. So, she said, I've been thinking, I don't think this is going to work. And I go, what do you mean, Chick? I think you need to leave. And I was like, Chick, you're just such a rude-ass person. And I'm like, what the fuck? I just woke up. I had no idea what the fuck she was talking about. And I was like, I'm not going back and forth. I was like, okay, when do you want me to go? She's like, well, today would be nice. And I started laughing. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. New Year's Day, but you were so worried about me and my cats. Right? In the wintertime that you wanted to help us out. You're so grateful you could help us. And now you're saying New Year's Day to get out? Oh, you think you're going to create conflict in my life? You think you're going to create me to beg you? You think... I don't do that anymore. I don't make decisions out of fear. I don't need... And I said, I need you to give me a couple days. So I made a plan. And I said, could you give me till Friday? I had to ask her that time. One was out of time, but can you give me till Friday? And she said, well, I just thought... I was just thinking, you could stay another 30 days. And I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. When people show you who they are, fucking believe them. Energy doesn't lie. This all happened from, like I said, mid-November until January 3rd. So, I hope you're healthy and happy, full of joy. Thank you for giving me space.